Welcome back to another episode of Let's Make Synthwave. Alonso here, very excited to be with you today. All right, for episode number 15, we got something special. I know I always say that. Today, we're going to be making music in the style of Sabrina boys, or inspired by that Italo Disco aesthetic from the mid to late 80s. And today's episode will have a duration of around 2 hours. During the first hour, we're going to create the musical foundation that will then turn into 60 to 90 seconds of music during the second hour. And just to be clear, this is not a remake of Sabrina Boys. I'm just going to pick certain elements and try to make them my own and something that's kind of synthwavy. I'm also not necessarily going for a I would say, authentic Italo Disco style. All right, my friends. Now, before we get this thing going, there's a couple of things that I wanted to mention. First is that most people are familiar with the cheesy side of Italo Disco, like Sabrina, Ken Laszlo, Dan Harrow, Miko Mission, those kinds of guys and gals. And people tend to underestimate that music, right? But if you sink your teeth into it, if you try to remake it, if you listen with intent, you'll find that it was made very well, that actually the producers of that music, they were really, really good. They were geniuses. It's not like you can just slap any drum samples and synth samples and you can make something sound like that from a production perspective, but also from a songwriting and arrangement perspective. In this case, Sabrina Boys, it sounds super cheesy now, but it is really, really well put together. Like the chorus is really good. It's a great payoff. The verse is really good. The melodies, the hooks, it's all super memorable and super well made, right? I dare you, attempt to remake this or any of those other tracks and you'll see really how difficult this is. It's no easy feat, right? Then the other thing is that, so I talked just a little bit about the second half of the 80s Italo Disco thing, but during the first half, we have other guys like Savage and others that they have a more, let's say, less commercial Italo Disco sound and even closer to synthwave. And so this is not going to be the last time that I look at Italo Disco here on these live streams on the channel, because there's really a lot of stuff that we can learn from this. And also, just to tie it all together, consider that many synthwave artists in the early days of synthwave, they had a direct connection to Italo, or at least a direct influence to that style. And I'm talking about, let's say, artists like 80s Stallone, Vincenzo Salvia, Lost Years, SelloRekt, LA Dreams, and especially Lost Years. If you listen to some of his early stuff, it is very much related to Italo Disco. So this is a very nice sound that if you can learn how to make yourself, it can really introduce different flavors into your productions. All right, so with that out of the way, let me see if there was anything else I want to cover here. No, just as an FYI, head over to synthwavedojo.com, get yourself a free account on the Synthwave Dojo platform. You can watch all my videos, some of them turned into full-length courses, full-featured courses, for free, without ads, better searchable, etc. Go ahead and do that if you haven't done that already. All right, my friends, so let's head into the DAW and let's get cracking with this thing. Yeah, Giorgio Moroder, or Moroder, depending on how you want to pronounce it, he's also one of the early pioneers of Italo Disco, and his sound and the things he does are really amazing. Like, again, if you try to remake something from Giorgio, it's like super hard and has a very distinct sound, and it's just perfect productions every time. Like, really, if you get to that level, or if you can remake his stuff and have it sound good, it's like you're on your way to synthwave greatness, my friends. Alrighty, so let's see what we have. Before I play you my crappy Alonso version of Boys, at least just a section, the original is at the tempo of 120 BPM, maybe 118, I don't know. This is the tempo that felt right to me. It's in the key of F minor. The progression is a very simple tonic minor, or the tonic 1 chord, then the 4th chord, and followed by 2 bars of the 7th chord. So once we make this happen in the key of F minor, then we have the F minor is the 1st chord, then D flat major, and followed by, actually here, this is E flat major. Now this goes to show that if you want to create a masterpiece, let's call this a masterpiece, a track or a song that will stand the test of time, you don't need to complicate yourself. A very simple 1, 6, 7 progression in a minor scale will do. And it's not about the progression itself. It's about what you do with it, what hooks you create, the production, what lyrics you can write, or what melodies. So again, don't try to just create a progression that no one else has heard before and think that doing that will get you a better track. Not necessarily. Very simple stuff, and also some of the tracks that I've been remaking or showing here for the past weeks, like the Axel Foley's and the themes for I don't know, Blue Thunder and whatever, Knight Rider. For the most part, they're always very simple progressions, like nothing out of the ordinary, really. Then we have the hook, the part that plays bum 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 bum. That melodic phrase, we can think of it in 2 ways. You can think of it as part A, where it presents something, bum 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 bum. Then as part B, bum 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 bum, which is a little different from A. Then you repeat A, bum 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 bum, and the 4th part of that phrase is bum 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 ba-da-dum ba-da-dum. You could consider that C. So all in all, it's a very nice listener journey where you're presented with something. Then there's a variation, you go back to the first one, and you end by doing something different. And depending on how much you like to nitpick, you could also think of this as A prime, A, and B, because this B is not completely different than A. You can think of it as A just with a tiny variation, right? So if you want to think of that melodic phrase as A prime, A, B, or A, B, A, C, it's up to you. It doesn't matter. But it's just a great way to visualize how to create a hook like this. Alrighty. Okay, so here's my crappy remake of, I would say, the chorus and the verse. So let's take a listen. I'll then go section by section or part by part. Not too bad, right? But it took me a while to get something kind of decent. Okay, so first things up. This bass, what I'm using for this is DX'd and the famous Bass 1 patch, which is used on plenty of Top Gun tracks and plenty of other places. And for this one, I applied some heavy filtering, some EQ, because without it, it's like very clicky and it has a lot of high end. But without it, I think it blends better in the mix and it feels like a real bass with a little bit of compression. Then we have the drums. The drums. These drums are, the kick is Roland R8. You can find that on the Synthwave Dojo free sample pack, available at synthwavedojo.com/downloads. The snare is a drumulator snare, also from that Synthwave Dojo sound pack, sample pack. The hi-hat is Roland R8. I'm not using an open hi-hat, so this was my default Lin 9000. The clap is a Roland R8. It doesn't sound exactly like the clap on Sabrina's track. Very close. The kick and the snare do sound very close. Not exactly, because it's very hard to get something super close or exactly the same. The claps are close. Roland R8. The crash sounds close. Roland R8 as well. And the tambourine, Roland R8. So these elements sound very close to me, to the original. And we have the hats. pan to the left, as in the original, and they may have some accents, the original, that I didn't recreate. And the tambourine is panned hard right. So you hear both things, and they create this very nice stereo image. And the claps. None of the drums have any reverb, because the kick, it already has like this gated reverb built into the sample, but only the, let me see. Yeah, I think the claps I did give some reverb to using Glow, but practically any reverb plugin you have will work. Just a room sound, just to give them a little bit of ambience, that's it. And the snare, yeah, I did use something here. A little bit of plate reverb without it, just to extend the tail a little bit without going crazy. And I really like Glow by Wave Alchemy because it has an inbuilt gate, so I don't have to spend time setting up the gate and with a key input and all of that BS. All right, so these two elements, to my ears, they sound pretty close, sound good. Hey bass, why aren't you making a sound, man? Okay, gotcha. All right. So that is pretty much in great shape. Excellent. Now, the other part is, okay, the chords. Let's look at the chords. They may not be exactly the same, but this is a patch that I made on Arturia Juno. Whatever plays these chords on the original, to my ears, they sound very round and subdued. So they don't sound sharp like Sawtooth Wave, like a Sawtooth Wave based patch. So I went with the square wave, and it's very soft and very round, and I think works quite well. Then the lead, like I mentioned, you could think of it as 4 phrases. So here we have the first phrase, the second, which is just a tiny variation of the first. So we could consider this A, we could consider this B or A prime, whatever. Then we go back to A. And on the final phrase, we have a little bit of a change, of course, to introduce variation to make this interesting for the listener. So we always have to think about unity and variety. So this melodic phrase, which stands the test of time and has done so for the last 40 years, it is very simple. You see here that there's very few notes, but it's got a very nice rhythmic element, which is very memorable. They are repeating certain notes a lot, so that's part of the unity piece, but then there's variation introduced by certain changes here and there, and towards the end of the phrase, a drastic change. All in all, this is very simple, but it's very hard to make something simple like this that will stand the test of time. So again, don't think that just because these are just a few notes, that's very simple to write something like this. It's not. It can take a really long while. Maybe the guy who wrote this came up with it in 3 minutes, or maybe they took days and hours and days making it. I don't know. But sometimes it can be very hard to make something memorable and simple like this. Anywho, this patch is a custom-made patch I made on Arturia Jupiter. It sounded to me like this is definitely a brass patch that you can make on any synth that has an envelope for the filter and for the amp, like so 2 envelopes. And I thought the Arturia Jupiter 8 has nice weight, had a nice thickness to it that could really help. For example, if I had done this on the Juno, I think it would have been too mellow, like too gentle. This one needs a little bit more bite, and still, it doesn't sound exactly like the original, but it's very close. And like I like to say, we're not going for a 100% remake, so just getting in the ballpark is what we're trying to do here. All right, so the whole thing again sounds like this. Cool. Oh, and there's one more sound that I forgot to mention, and it's this E-piano. This E-piano here really doesn't play during the verse. It plays during the pre-chorus, and it does something like this. Let me see if I find it and not make a ass out of myself. Like I am. Yeah, I knew that would happen. Well, I forgot that line there during the pre-chorus, but that's fine. So it does something similar to this, and I thought I could recreate that just by browsing patches on DX, and I just used the E-piano 1, which is one of the most used and overused and abused patches in the 80s when it comes to the DX7. So this one works quite well. All right. Now let's talk about what we're going to do today. So definitely, let's see. I definitely want to keep the drums as they are. I want to keep the bass, and I want to keep the chords. And I want to come up with my own hook. Okay, that's still reminiscent of the original. And this can be tricky because I've been listening to this track like so much for the past few days that just getting that hook out of my head and doing something different will take some effort. And obviously, right here, I can't create something as legendary as this hook in 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm just going to try to do something in the general ballpark of this one that's kind of reminiscent, but is not exactly the same. Of course, when you listen to it while watching this live stream, you see, yeah, it's very close. You just change a couple notes here and there, maybe, right? But if you've never listened to this track, or if it had been years, it should remind you, but not say, yeah, it's exactly the same thing. And I certainly want to play, hey, you know what? I'm going to keep the chords as well. And, well, I'm going to keep everything. The only thing I'm going to change is the hook and try to see if I can create my own version of this arrangement, right? So let's sink our teeth into this thing. I'm going to copy over the bass. I'm going to copy over my drum groove. Going to have crash here. And there. Here's my clap. Here's my shaker. Chords, and okay, I'm gonna copy over the E-piano thing. Maybe I'll do something different with it. I don't know. So for now, I think the challenge that we have ahead of ourselves, my friends, is creating some kind of hook that's reminiscent but not exactly the same. And it definitely has to be very rhythmic. And I'm going to go with this idea of presenting something, introducing variation, going back to the first and doing something different. And I know it's going to get me into the land of super close to the original, but that's fine. Or maybe I could do something like A, B, A, B. You know what? Let me just do this A, B, A, C thing and see how it goes. All right. All right, something's wrong here. Oh yeah, now I see it. Okay, hold on. It's just that there's a snare hit here. All right. Cool. And I see some conversation there, guys, about the plugins Wave Alchemy. Wave Alchemy, they came out with a bundled discount, or discount on a bundle a few months ago, and they bundled all of their 3 reverb plugins into one package. It went for like $60 or something, and I snatched it while that was going on, so you may want to keep your eyes out for that one, because it may come back in the future again. But I really appreciate it, and yeah, you can use any reverb plugin that you want. I do appreciate plugins that get me a certain sound faster and easier than having to fiddle with a lot of parameters, and for example, Glow specifically, setting the gate and the gate attack time, release, and all that can be very tricky, right? So, like I said, you can make this on using any plugins you have, but I do appreciate speed very much, and I don't like to tweak things too much. And if I have an idea, I want to realize it and get it done as quickly as possible. And there are certain plugins that I use and abuse very often that just whenever I need something done quick, I can count on them to do it. All right. All right, so F minor. We have D flat, A flat, E flat, B flat. So it's mostly flat notes, except for C and F. Higher octave, maybe. Terrible. It was supposed to be flat. Somewhere around there, I think we'll be able to find something. I definitely want to start with the tonic. Okay, let's do this. I like the first part. And I'm playing a bunch of bum notes because F minor is not one of the keys that I'm most familiar with. All those flats, so I'm constantly playing wrong notes. And that's fine. That's just how it is. And also goes to show that it's, on the one side, it's great to use the keys that you know, right? So you can work faster. But on the other hand, it's also good to get to know new keys. So those are like additional tools in your arsenal, so you can use them later. All right, so let's see if we can record this thing. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, and I also want to keep the spirit of notes that are bouncy, very staccato, lively, like very playful. I like that. I think that'll work. And in the spirit of the original, let's copy this, but introduce a little bit of change. For example, here, we could go to a higher note. Oh, I like that. So A flat, G, E flat, or F. Yeah, I like it. Let's get rid of this one. Oops. I like it. And just as on the original, let's copy this one for a third phrase, and do kind of like a stinger, some kind of accents or something on the last phrase. Whoops. All right. Oh, I'm feeling something like dum bum bum ba da dum 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 dum. All right, where am I? Maybe? Let's see. Maybe. Okay, let's try to play this thing. Let's fix those bum notes. Bum, bum, bum. And that was supposed to be C. It sounds good, but it's getting lost. Mostly because of this thing here at the end. Okay, so let's do something a little different. Bum, 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 ba-dum, ba-dum. Not sure. Maybe. Yeah, I like it. I think it'll work. Cool. All right, I'm feeling it. All right, and just for fun, I feel like we could use another element. Let me go with the Jupiter. Maybe we can use some kind of pad or long release keys. Let's see what we like. Let me go into my presets. I like that. Maybe that's too long. I think just for fun, I want to use that kind of as an accent or like a stab, not playing a full rhythm with it. Oops. So many bomb notes. Because it is like a very big patch. Takes a lot of space. Okay, played it well there. But something like on the downbeat here and there, I think it'll work. Let's see. There or here. Or up here. Awesome. And this patch is taking us just a little bit away from the territory of Italo Disco and this very strong Sabrina flavor. And I think that's exactly why I like it, because the music starts to sound like our own. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to call this release keys. And I think I'm going to play it down here. Let's see how it goes. And I'm just doing very simple vanilla chords. This is just the minor chord. And I was playing with the suspended fourth, or the second. But it just gives it a little bit of a, I don't know, darker tone, which wasn't working quite well. Right, let's see. I like it. But let's do a couple of things here. Let me get rid of the delay and just use the plugin that I typically like to use, which is Replica. just so it's easier for me to get into the delay parameters and going into the synth and browsing the pages and the tabs just to change something. That's why I like to have, for the most part, delays and reverbs directly on the channel or as buses and not inside the synth itself, just because, again, it's easier for me to get to the delay or the effect here than going inside the synth and browsing the tabs and hunting for the parameter. All right. And in the case of delays, I really like to filter my delays, filter the top end, filter the low end. And most inbuilt delays that synths offer don't have these filter options, most of them. I know the effects on Serum and some other modern synths do have more of these parameters, but not these emulation synths. All right. Then just a simple EQ move to get rid of all this low end and low mids rumble. And the same with a little bit of the high end. There, I do want this pad or these chords to fill up a little bit of the sound, but if I don't apply some aggressive filtering like this, then it's gonna take up too much space in the mix. And that's why if you sometimes use, let's say, patches like this, and you don't filter them and you don't apply EQ to make them fit your mix, after 4 or 5 elements playing at the same time, your mix is mud, and that's the reason why. Again, I don't need all of these low mids and the lows that this has. I just wanted a little bit of the presence and to fill the low mids, but not get into the territory of the bass, and certainly not to muddy up my mix. And it's not too noticeable unless you really listen to it, but it fits better the mix. All right. Let's bring it down in level just a little bit. There. Great. I think we're in great shape, my friends. I'm happy with what we have. We may need another sound here or there for a full-length track, but for the purpose of today's exercise, we may not. Let me take a look at some of the messages in the chat. Sounding nice. Thank you, guys. All right. So next up, let's turn this into, I would say, a 40-bar arrangement during the rest of the time that we have together. So let me try this. I'm going to create these arrangement sections just so I have a visual representation to guide me here. Okay, and for now, I'm simply going to call this intro. I don't know what I'm going to call that. Same with this, and same with this. Not sure yet what I'm going to do, but I don't like that dark purple. All right. Let's start with the intro, because I'm not sure yet where we're going to drop all of this awesomeness. in terms of our arrangement, because I still have Sabrina's original like so stuck in my mind that I'm having a hard time trying to get out of it. So I'm just gonna run with it, and we're gonna start very similarly to the original. And let's start with the claps here. And a kick pattern. On every downbeat. What am I looking at here? Are these downbeats or what the hell? Okay, gotcha. That'll do it. And now, of course, a lot of this is going to sound too rushed if this were a full-length track, since we're trying to create this tiny experience. Otherwise, we would stay here for like 7 hours. Just try to accelerate things a little bit, and I know that they will sound a little hasty. So I'm going to drop the bass right here. And same as the original. And let me get the drums going here. Let me get the claps, the shaker, and let's use our lead right here. I'm trying so hard not to say boys. Okay, let me concentrate, guys. Come on. So here, definitely I need some kind of snare fill. Right? We need a crash. Here and there. And why not do a little bit of a variation here? Yeah. We certainly need something else here. Maybe we can use the chords or the release keys. Let's see. Yeah, I like it. Okay, these chords, let's also apply a little bit of high-pass filtering. Again, just so they don't occupy so much space. Like here. All right. Here, before bar 33 or 23, I feel like we need a little something. Nice. I like it. Let's figure out where to go next. Certainly need a crash here. Let's have the chords. Let's have the release keys. And one really cool thing that the melody has going for it that we don't in our version is that the original has this anticipation here called anacrusis. So it like anticipates what's coming next, obviously, as the name suggests, and it really introduces some energy that I feel we're lacking in our version, mainly because I have the original so much stuck in my head so much, but I definitely need some kind of drum break here. Yeah, for sure. Something to anticipate what's coming. Not too shabby, right, my friends? My friends. All right, let's listen to the intro. Cool. Great. We're in great shape, my friends. I see a question here. Why do you build your tom fills inside of Groove? Maybe your question is, why don't I write the drum fills inside of the Groove track? If that's the question, so everyone works in a different way. And for me, I found that there are certain elements, for example, crashes, tom fills, claps, and shakers, that I don't want them to be inside the clip with all my, let's say with my main groove going. The reason for that is if I program my drum fills, let's say inside this clip where I have my drums going, and if I want to change the tom fill, I have to go inside this clip. And if I wanted to reuse this tom fill, I would, it is not easy to go every other place, like every other clip, and come here and try to create the tom fill. It's easier for me, for example, to just create the tom fill here outside on a separate MIDI track that is still feeding my drum computer, and I can create a tom fill, and if I want to reuse it, I simply do this, right? If this tom fill were inside this, then I have to be careful what groove it is in. So I couldn't just take this and reuse it somewhere else. I would have to pay attention to what is going on inside this drum groove, right? So it's not easy for me to copy tom fills. That's the primary reason. The same as with the crash. I can take a crash and place it wherever I want, like that. But if it were inside here, I don't know, it's just harder visually to find where's the downbeat, right? So it's mostly a matter of making things easy on myself. And the same with the everything that's not kick, snare, and hat, I like to have it on its own independent MIDI track. Still feeding my drum computer, but I like to have the opportunity, especially with claps and shakers. Sometimes I say, I want it here, but maybe not here, and I'm going to short it, make this shorter here, etc. And if the shaker were inside of all of these drum grooves, I couldn't just easily delete them like this. I would have to go inside, and it's a nightmare, right? So that's just the way that I like to work. All right, let's take this from the beginning again. Great. I see here a comment about the kicks and the claps reminding someone about Kill Bill. Yeah, the Santa Esmeralda song. Certainly, it reminded me of that as well. And when I programmed this, I may have done that with that intention. I don't remember. Certainly. Okay, from this, what we're gonna call let's call it the chorus. From here, let's go into some kind of verse where we don't have the lead. So the easiest thing is just copy this over or duplicate. Let's get rid of the lead and see where we are. Okay, and here I want a snare fill. And I'm going to color this differently for the same reason that I mentioned about using different clips independently. Then I know that this one has a different drum fill than this one. So it's very easy for me to just copy this around whatever and not having to figure out which one it is. Okay, so maybe we could mute these. Right? And we could play with this E-piano. Bum notes and all. And this is where we start to deviate from the original, and that's fine. Okay, so let's do this from a structure standpoint. We have intro, chorus, this B section, which could serve as a bridge. Then what I want to do is go to the chorus, and I'm going to call this outro. And I'm going to call this chorus. And let's figure out what to do during this B section. I'm gonna mute those here for now. trying to find the pentatonic scale here, which is... Let's see if I can bring this up. It's very useful to use the pentatonic scale, just so you get some notes that sound good quickly. That would be in the key of F minor, F, G flat, oh, A flat, F, A flat, B flat, C, and E flat. Right. Or on second thought, using this here sounds a little wimpy to me. Like, I don't know, I wanted something a little bit more special, with a little bit more balls, if you will. So certainly this E-piano can help us create a little bit of that chimey flavor. It's subtle and gentle, but I don't know, I want to experiment with something stronger. So let's instantiate Jupiter 8 once more. Let me tuck this in here. So what are you gonna do? What do you got? Let's browse my library of patches. Something like this sounds very cool. I like that. Oh, nice glide. I like this one very much. Me like me. But let's set the bend to be an octave or a fifth. Let me see, where do I do that? Here, the bend. VCO, VCF. Where are you, bend? Okay, could it be this? There we go. Nice. Now we're getting somewhere. Right, my friends? Really? Shit's getting real, guys. All right. let's try a little bit of improv, then we'll clean it up, because I'm sure that I'm going to play a lot of bum notes. Not too bad. This one I don't like. Higher. Oops. Ba-da-da. Nice, but with a slide. Same here. Yeah. All right, all right, all right. I like it. Nice. Let's listen to the handoff from this part into the next. Nice. Okay, let's work on for similar reasons. Let me get rid of the delay. Nice. Let's add a little bit of EQ. And this time, not so much to filter the low end, but filter out some of the high end that is very fizzy and bright, just to warm the sound up a little bit. Without it, it's subtle. If I play it in solo, you'll notice it, but in the mix, it blends better. And yeah, what about some reverb via glow once more? I don't know what I want. Let's go with a hall pass. Man, this is sounding great. That upward bend towards the end sounds very Pink Floyd, very what's the grass was greener, boom boom boom. It has like some wicked bends towards the end of the song. What was it called? Don't remember. Nice. All right, and let's add a little bit of compression to this lead so it stays put. This is just a normal LA2A emulation plugin. Whichever one you have will sound just the same, at least to me. And what I like about this one is that it only has two controls. One, you turn this knob to get between 5 to 7 dB of gain reduction, which is appropriate for this. And then you turn the gain to get the level that you lost, and that's it. You don't have to fiddle with attack, release, ratio, and all of that. Here we go. Very dreamy. Okay, and here I think I need this drum pattern with the more energetic fill. Nice. Wow, this is very cool, my friends. I'm gonna take a 2-minute break to get some coffee, and when I come back, we're gonna finish the outro, do a little bit of mixing, maybe automation here and there, I don't know. But we are in great shape. I think this one has come together very, very quickly. And I don't know about you, but I'm really enjoying this one and very happy with the results thus far. And before I forget, of course, if you are a dude that was born in the late 70s, like myself, or a little earlier, there's no way that you'll ever forget the video of Sabrina Boys. I think the images from that video are seared into my brain like memories of my childhood. It's like, I don't know, growing up, the house of my parents, my siblings, and Sabrina Boys video. It's like, it's gotta be there in the top 5 memories of all of us that were born around that time, the late 70s. And if you haven't watched it, just look it up and enjoy, rejoice. Incredible. Back then, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have YouTube, so whenever it was on, it was like, stop whatever you're doing, you gotta watch this video. All right. So let's see. In terms of our outro, I want to do the same thing that we did on the intro, but the inverse of that, or something very similar. Meaning, let's just play the kick pattern here. Let's keep the bass going. Okay, maybe let me keep the drums going for half of the intro. And let me keep this going. Certainly, let's keep these chords going. Let's keep all this going, and then we'll see what we can get rid of. Crash for sure. We need to crash. Oops. I'm thinking of this. Just to make this synthwavy, let me filter out the lead, which wasn't necessarily a popular move back in the 80s. Shaper. Okay, and I want a low pass filter, warm, 24 dB per octave. Something like that will work. Alright, so we'll figure out the shape of this thing. As we go along. Alright, so here's our section. Okay, let's try this. And like this. We went too far. Yeah, the kick and the bass also remind me a lot of Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Relax. Maybe I should remake that sometime. So much great music back in the 80s, guys. It's not even funny, it's crazy. Yeah, I don't want it to end like super close. I still want to hear a little bit the lead. Okay, maybe I want it just faster at the beginning. Nice. All right, let's figure out what else to do here. So Thompson, I'm not going to use, I'm going to get rid of this track. All right. Let's get rid of something during the second half of the outro. Let's get rid of the release keys, maybe. Actually, I like the release keys very much. Maybe get rid of the chords. Back to the Kill Bill thing. Nice. Crash here. All right, maybe I want the fill to start earlier. Okay, here. Hold on. Like that. Let's get rid of this. Oh, you know what? You know what? How about this? Not bad, right? Do we need the crash? Yeah, I think this will work. All right. So from here, I think our arrangement is exactly where I wanted. Let me do some spot checks to see if we're missing elements or if something, I don't know, should be improved upon. Then we will do a little bit of mixing, applying processing on the buses and the master fader. Let's see. So far, so good. Drum fill. I'm thinking here on this chorus, because we've been listening to these release keys almost since the beginning, let me shorten this during the first half. So when the second half of the chorus kicks in, we feel a boost in energy. Let's see. And we don't miss it very much because we have these chords. Let's see. There it is back. Yeah. And definitely, you need to look for opportunities like this to create what I call a checkered flag arrangement, which means when you look at your arrangement from top to bottom, like this zoomed out view, typically you don't want many elements playing from top to bottom. In this case, we have the bass almost playing all the way through, but that's like the glue holding the entire thing together. The drums are also playing from top to bottom, but they're doing different things here. There's a different groove than here, etc. But then we see shakers. They come in here, they leave. These chords only play during certain sections, same as the lead. Then we have this Jupiter lead that only plays here. So all in all, we see these gaps here in our tracks, and that's the sign of a good arrangement. And here, I was just looking for that opportunity to make this chorus just a little different from the first one, and also to kind of cleanse our palate and refresh our ears, because we had been listening to this same sound for so long that we don't notice when we miss it until we take it out and bring it back. So stuff like that is one of the greatest things you can do in very short arrangements like this for practice, and you can really pay attention to these kinds of details. So let's listen to the outro. Cool. I like this very much. I'm really happy with it. So, at least to me, we have all the elements that we need. It's a very nice, in short, listeners experience. We're going on this roller coaster ride, and I do feel like this B section or bridge is really bringing a nice contrast to the staccato, short, and bouncy feel of the section before and afterward. So that's also a great thing you need to look for when creating arrangements, contrast from one section to the next. If this section has a long of short, staccato, bouncy, rhythmic notes and sounds, then the next section, try to play longer notes, stuff with more release or more sustain. So when you go from section to section, we feel and we hear that difference, right? It's very palpable. All right, so from here, what I want to do is turn my attention to the mixing part of the exercise. And for that, okay, let me loop the chorus. I had already applied some processing to most of the sounds. I don't think I'm going to apply anything in particular extra to the drums. I will to the drum bus. And let me see, where are all my chords? All my synths, rather. Okay, here you go. Chords, lead, E piano, release keys, wicked lead. Most of them have a little bit of EQ. You know what, this lead, and it already had compressor. I thought it didn't. The chords. Let's apply a little bit of compression to the chords as well. Compress mode. Cool. And the same for the release keys. And I'm not going for super strong, obvious compression. I just want to get a little bit of gain reduction and control, that's all. So the sounds have a little bit more density, a little bit more weight and body, and they kind of stay put with where they are. They don't jump out at you so much. Alright, alright, alright. I like the drums, the bass where they are. I like the lead. Nice. All right. I don't think I will be creating any volume automation in this arrangement. So let's process the drum bus. And the way that I like to work is I have all my drums and my bass feeding or being output into a drum bus. So here I can apply some processing to all of them at the same time. Let's apply a little bit of tape, and any plugin you have will work. It's just like certain tools, that's all. A little bit of drive. Right, and a little bit of bus compression. I like to set my bus compressors typically with 30 milliseconds attack, 100 milliseconds release, 2-to-1 ratio or sometimes lower, and the threshold low enough to get between 1.5 to 2 dB, just a little bit. Adding some nice thickness and gluing. All right. And a little bit of the same on my synth bus. I have all my synths here, all these pink channels. You can see that they're being output to the synth bus because I like to apply some processing as a group, the same as with the drums. Same deal, tape, but maybe just a little different flavor of tape. and a little bit of bus compression. Similar settings than the drums bus. 1.5 ratio. Fast attack in this case. 100 millisecond release. And I want to go with 1.5 dB here. Alright. And if you can hear like clicks and that kind of thing, it's because my computer is struggling with streaming, recording, and playing all these plugins live. But that's fine. Now this is my mix bus or master fader. Again, I apply some more tape, saturation. Bus compression. Whoops. Seems like my computer is struggling there. We'll see. All right. I think this is sounding pretty good, my friends. Let's do some spot checks here and there to see where we are. I see there in the comments that the stream died, guys. I'm not sure why, but it's a great thing that I'm recording this, so I'll upload it later. Let's continue with spot checks on this thing. gonna bring down the level of the hats and the tambourine just a tiny bit. With all the compression, I think they just came out a little bit too much. All right, my friends, so let's see where we are. So we're coming to the end of our live stream. Today we started out with the intention of making music in the style of Sabrina Boys, or influenced by that. And it's no easy feat to get in that ballpark and do something of quality or that's quite reminiscent. In any case, I think we have succeeded here, guys. I used some of the elements of the original track. I used some of my elements. Definitely, if you listen to it, you'll hear that it's directly influenced by that track, but it has enough elements, at least, that I could call my own. So with that, what I will do is just play the whole thing from top to bottom with no talking. Then we'll come back and call it a day. Here we go. All right, my friends, there you have it. Music inspired by Sabrina Boys. I really recommend you guys to listen to this production, to this album, and buy some other cheesy but great Italo Disco artists from the late 80s, like Ken Laszlo, Dan Harrow, Miko Mission, etc. And really try to recreate some of these sounds, because it's not an easy feat. It's harder than it meets the eye. In any case, this is not the last time you hear and see about Italo Disco in these live streams. I do want to do some of the early stuff that's maybe with a slower tempo, even closer still to synthwave. But as always, I hope that you found this useful, that you had fun, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, my guys. Bye-bye.